Hey everybody, this is your Right Geek, honorary man king, and leader of the Awkward Cough Squad, here with another comic review. Today I am going to talk about the comic E-Ratic, issue number 1. I was alerted to the existence of this comic by, I believe, Wes at Thinking Critical, so thank you, Wes, for tweeting some of the panels of this comic and letting me know that it existed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have noticed it at all. But I am glad that that I was alerted to this because this comic is subversive as hell, and anyone who considers themselves Comicsgate or Comicsgate adjacent, or just someone who's really tired of the current zeitgeist, needs to pick this up because I think that you will, if you fall into that camp, you're going to enjoy it immensely. So basically, the premise of E-Ratic here is the main character is a teenage boy who has a single mother, and his the implication is his dad has been killed by something in the past that is some event that is in some way related to his superpower. And his superpower is actually very interesting because it's a superpower he can only use for 10 minutes out of the day. And then the rest of the day, he's just a normal kid. So this hook that they have on the first page, what if you had the power to do things no one else could? What if that ultimate power came with limits? What if you were 15 years old and had 10 minutes to save the world? That is a very effectively written hook, I think. And it did kind of suck me right in. Regardless of what happens later in the comic that made me laugh and made me declare it very brave and subversive. So the premise, I think, of this comic is quite good, but I do want to highlight the thing that was highlighted on Twitter that we all need to be aware of because, oh my gosh, when I read this, I was like, yes, finally someone has the freaking stones to call out the thing that's the actual problem. So there's a lot of scenes in here because most of the time he's a regular kid. There's scenes of him adjusting to this new high school that he's moved to. And yeah, the main character has a big brother who's kind of this jock and is instantly popular and has a lot more ease with social interaction, whereas the main character is kind of this nerdy kid who is scared of girls, and he feels like a really genuine nerdy character. So I like that aspect of the comic too. But yes, let's talk about the elephant in the room in this comic, which is when the main character goes to class. Trying to get to it here. Trying to get to the right page. 1 second. Yes. So we have the classroom scenes here, and oh my gosh, like this creator is about 2 seconds away from being canceled because he or she, I'm not sure what their preferred pronouns are, calls out what's really going on in the schools. And I'll tell you because I'm a teacher, so I know what's going on in the schools. So we have here this, really ugly teacher here with oppression written on the blackboard, and it says the words behind me represent the construct of our world. So yes, oh my gosh, yes, this is what's going on in the schools. The constant critical race theory bullshit. Yes, and this writer is calling it out. I thought this was math class. Silence. There will be no thinking in this classroom. Curriculum's changed. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Like someone's finally said it in a comic book, and I am just as excited as Wes was when he saw it. So the construct of the world is oppression. And then here, starting this year, there will be no more grades in science. It is the experience of science that is most important, not grades. Also remember that education is the most important thing in life, and the school you get into will determine your ultimate outcome in life. Oh my God. Like, this is so right. Again, the contradictions of the contradictions of how schools are run today is captured in just a few panels here, and it absolutely delighted my soul when I read this, because there's nothing more true than what you're seeing here. Especially the education is the most important thing in life, and the school you get into will determine your ultimate outcome in life. Yes, I also do SAT and ACT preparation. So I know that the pressure that kids are under to get into college. I'm actually like it's fall, so I have kids right now that are in the process of applying to college, and the stress that they're under, it's reached truly ridiculous proportions, given that I think most of these kids they really could be okay without going to college. They would be able to find some means of success elsewhere. And they need to be told that, but they're not being told that. They're being fed this lie that college is the only way to get to get into basically a solid middle class life. And worse than that, they're told that where you go to college actually matters. But in reality, for the most part, where you go to college doesn't matter. It's what you do in college when you get there. It's the grade point average that you have, and whether or not you actually finish college. Basically, what the college degree does is nothing until you finish college. So essentially, all of your employers and all of your graduate schools are just using that undergraduate degree as a test of whether you can follow instructions and finish something. And it's not really looking at what you can actually do in terms of skill sets or anything. So, but yeah, so it will determine your ultimate outcome in life. Yes. And then the main character says, how do we get into good schools without grades? That's a question for your guidance counselors. This is science. That's just so awesome. Yeah. Anyone who is frustrated with how education works in this country right now needs to pick this up, because it's so true. But aside from the social satire in this also has a very solid premise that I really feel is going to turn out to be a good story once this develops further in the next 4 issues. This is apparently a 5-issue limited series, so I'm looking forward to it. I think that there's some interesting suggestions of world building going on in this issue. Like, for example, back here when they have the wall of students who apparently died in some incident. That was, where was that? That was, yeah, up right here in memory. You're looking at a water fountain shrine built to honor our local newsmakers, the Maple 10. The newspaking mark being they didn't make it through the Great Death. So that makes me wonder, what's the Great Death? So there's some interest. This is well written from the perspective of it's giving you lots of tantalizing hints of where the story is going to go, which makes me want to read more. I think the premise, the fact that there's this very tight limitation on how the main character can use his powers and for how long, also provides some interesting potential for storytelling. And at the end, when he has to break out and use his powers because this robot squid shows up, that's actually pretty boss looking. The art's pretty boss looking too. I like the style of the art. It's pretty good. Running never works. Doesn't mean we've ever stopped trying, but I'm so sick of running. So he has to activate his powers to deal with this squid that has showed up. He's got some sort of ability to throw electricity at things. I'm sure we'll learn more about what exactly his power sets are as the story continues. But what happens after he accomplishes this rescue at the end? Basically, he's naked, and he says, "Please, you can't tell anyone. If they find out, they'll come for me." That's interesting too. Who is they, and why would they be coming after him? So I think this has all the makings of a really good story, with or without the trenchant social satire. But I gotta say, that social satire made me laugh so hard the first time I read this, because once again, as a teacher, I gotta tell you, it's true that this comic shows you what's really going on in our public high schools. It's a whole lot of contradictions and nonsense. And if you agree, I think you'll probably enjoy that satire as well. So that was E-Ratic #1. Have you read this comic? It is currently available on Comixology. So go and pick it up if you haven't already. If you have read this comic, what did you think about it? Please leave your comments below, and I will talk to you again next week.